Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Your Ass is Degrassi. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Kyle.
And I'm Dan.
And we're here again to help you guys walk our way through the series that is long-lasting and never-ending, possibly, known as Degrassi.
Yeah, never fucking ending, really.
Yeah. We're learning that, I guess you could say, the hard way or the long way. We're taking the long way home, in a sense. And by doing that, we're starting off where the series has very first began, and that's with the Kids of Degrassi Street. Now, before other series you might be familiar with, like Degrassi Junior High or Degrassi High or Degrassi Next Generation, all that kind of stuff that is, a little more relevant or people might be familiar with. There was a series before that.
Or a little bit more entertaining, maybe, is the word.
Well, we're learning that now, Dan, aren't we? But it's hard to say that just blanket statement, but I think we are educated enough now by this show to probably safely say that this show,
shitty.
In particular, the Kids of Degrassi Street, is boring.
Oh, it's incredibly boring. Mind you, it isn't made for us. It is made for children,
Yes.
however.
That's the thing, right? This is like a children's show, I guess.
This is the kids on Degrassi Street. It's not the young teens in Degrassi Junior High or whatever.
And it's a weird thing because it's made for kids, but yet the situations are kind of extravagant in a way. Not over the top, like things exploding and people dying. Not that kind of extravagant, but
it just baffles me the dramatic situations that they come up with.
Right, that's a great way to put it. It's the situations they are in are just so hard to, I guess, believe.
It's hard to quantify because it's like, for example, in the episode we've just watched now, and we'll be watching two more during this episode that you guys are watching of ours. But in this particular episode, it is what? Catherine joins gymnastics?
Sure, that's the plot synopsis, basically. Like you were saying, Dan, in this show here, in this podcast, we like to basically break it into three parts, sort of, where we cover one episode by watching it, and then we come and talk about it on the show here. Then we do watch another one, we come back, watch another one, we come back, and that way
once we've done three, we release it to you guys.
Yeah, and things are a bit more well-rounded that way. We're able to properly cover the content.
Yeah, exactly. We don't end up mashing it all together.
This is kind of, I guess, kind of like a summer project in a way, but that will probably end.
Oh, it's a couple of year project at this point.
Well, it's been a bit of a, I guess we can call it a trend now, that like every summer we kind of do, we start something extravagant and see where it goes. Like last summer we watched every single episode of 2.5 Men in a month, and that was a rigorous process. But the one complaint we always had was that we didn't cover it properly. So that's why we're here today, covering it as properly as we think we can. And by doing that, we cover 3 episodes of the show each week. And in this particular season or series, I guess you could call it, there's only 26 episodes. And today, we're going to be starting things off with number 11, which is Catherine Finds Her Balance.
So, like we were saying before about the plots kind of being non-quantifiable or kind of like hard to explain or hard to believe they're dramatic scenarios, this one really is not about Catherine or Cookie as we've previously known her.
Great thing to mention, because Cookie, who I think was just mainly heavily prevalent in like the first 3 episodes, maybe 4. I can't remember off the top of my head.
3 or 4, somewhere in there.
But
we don't see her again for a while.
I mean, at the very beginning of the show, Ida Makes a Movie. That's how everything started off in 1979. We saw the character Ida, who we've seen recently as well, and also Cookie.
And Cookie held all the pieces together.
And we now know, I think we actually may have known this earlier, that Cookie's real name is Catherine.
Yeah.
And one thing to note is that this episode came out November 16th, 1984, and the first time we saw Cookie was in 1979. It's been 5 years.
It's been 5 years, so at first we didn't know who the fuck Catherine was.
Right, yeah.
So it took a little bit of reminding until we realized it was Cookie. And I gotta say that they probably just should have called her Catherine or just should have called her Cookie, because
it's weird, right? Because even if they're like let's say 11 episodes in, there were like diehard fans, they'd have to be like 5-year-long diehard fans to even find any kick out of the reference to calling her Cookie. It's weird a little bit, right?
And there's also just no reason to call her Cookie, and there's no reason to fucking change it and say her real name is Catherine either.
And she's getting older. She's literally 5 years older, basically. She's probably like 11-ish or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's strange to see her be called Cookie because it's like a kid's name, like a very like childish name. Is
Yeah,
Cookie.
it's like a little. Hey, Cookie, little Cookie monster.
And they say,
Whatever.
"Isn't your name Cookie?" Yeah, because I'm so sweet. Remember when we went to the
Oh yeah,
hospital?
that's right. Yeah.
Classic episode, actually.
So, okay, well, what I'm getting at is we're talking about how these plots are fucking kind of hard to believe, and this episode really isn't about Cookie and gymnastics. It's more about her parents and how she's dealing with their separation in a way, which I guess there's probably a good lesson hidden in here for the parents. Because Cookie does everything right, and the parents are little bitches.
Well, Cookie doesn't necessarily do everything right, but the parents still overreact.
Well, she does her best for like an 8-year-old girl.
Should I read the
10-year-old
wiki
girl.
synopsis?
Yeah, that might help us get some direction here because this episode is a little different.
We'll say that. By the way, these wiki synopsises are written terribly, so just
We might have to fix them up.
we actually probably should, honestly. At this point, we're probably the only people really visiting this page.
Yeah.
So I'll put this up in the best words that I can. When both divorced parents want to come and watch her at her gymnastics meet, Catherine gets involved in some fancy footwork to prevent them from making a scene in front of the whole school.
Because she knows her parents often fight whenever they're together, so she wants to keep them separate, though she still wants both of them to come. So to solve that, she tries to get them to come on separate days, which doesn't work. And then she tries to do a couple other things.
She says it just doesn't even exist, or parents can't come.
Yeah, exactly. And
fails.
ultimately, it fails. She hurts her dad's feelings, and her mom bails on her.
The dynamic between the mother and the father of Cookie is kind of interesting.
They
I think.
build it up to be really, really deep, even knowing that we probably won't see much more of it.
Well, that's the whole show, though. That every episode's like that, honestly, in a lot of ways. There's like way too much deep meaning in a lot of this shit. Or not even meaning. It's way too. It feels well developed without it being developed.
It's because they fucking paint a large picture and cover one corner of the picture and forget about the rest. Do you know what I'm saying?
Okay,
It's like
right,
they mention that, their parents have a bad relationship and maybe there's a happy ending, or maybe there's one thing they fight about and they manage to figure out how to deal with that or how to make that easier on Cookie or something like that. That would be like a complete story. But what they do is they totally fucking mention they always have ongoing problems. They likely always will be. Nothing's really ends up being solved except for the fact that they try not to, or Cookie's dad tries not to involve Cookie in as much as the drama.
What I find weird about this mostly is like they both seem so far removed from their daughter, and their mother, who doesn't live with them and is not necessarily her like main caretaker. It kind of makes sense for that because she doesn't see her every day. But yet it still seems like her father is kind of far removed. Even though they live together, it's like he acts as if he doesn't really know what's going on in her life, which is kind of strange to me.
Because when you're 8, who the fuck do you see all the time, every day?
Your parents.
You go to school,
whoever you live with.
You hang with your parents.
Whoever
you go to
you live
school,
with.
you hang with your parents. It's fucking all you do. You go out on the weekend, hang with your friends.
You go to your grandma's, maybe.
Yeah, you go to your grandma's, hang with your parents, and go to church or whatever you're going to do, and then you go hang out with your friends for a little bit afterwards.
What we're seeing is a progressive Torontonian 1984 family here.
Right, things are different in the big city.
Yeah, and that's fine. It's actually kind of an interesting take on it because it's like her mother is this like, I guess, aspiring singer or performer.
Yeah,
and
singer-songwriter, something like that.
Yeah, something along those lines. And she's playing in a band. Seems like they practice regularly. And every time Cookie comes to visit with her, it's kind of like a treat. And her mother like spoils her and takes her for junk food and stuff. And her dad's kind of like the hard-ass guy at home who's like, I hope you're not having that junk food in there with that wife over there. Oh, what a bad woman.
He also mentions that burgers have no protein. And then later he retracts it and says, well, they have some.
Yeah, and then he makes her egg smoothie.
A raw egg smoothie, which, by the way, I just want to point out is totally not food safe, though people do it all the time.
Yeah, that's
raw eggs and even fucking like over easy eggs are totally not food safe at all. But I mean, we do it all the time, so I get it. But
do people actually do that? Because I always see that in movies. In terms of the smoothie thing,
I think like hardcore bodybuilders do shit like that.
Okay.
But I think honestly, in this day and age, I feel like hardcore bodybuilders just cook their eggs.
Or even like, wouldn't like the immediate substitute be like whey powder or like powdered
yeah,
stuff? Right?
That's more common now, but I don't know how common that was back then.
So maybe they didn't even know about the food safety regulations, perhaps.
Actually, yeah, because food safety way back in the day. they used to keep their fucking eggs like outside of the fridge. There was no need to put them in the fridge.
That seems fucked up to me.
No refrigeration and all kinds of
And
shit.
that was considered safe at that point.
Yeah, and I think they even delivered eggs right outside your fucking door like they did
like
milk.
The milkman, the Eggman would come by. Like Dr. Eggman. Or like, so Sonic would have to be kind of scared and zoom away, and then Tails would be right behind him because Dr. Eggman was coming to the door.
Right, and Knuckles would storm in.
Climb a wall? What did Knuckles do? He was red, right? Knuckles is red with the Knuckles.
Tails flies, Knuckles.
Tails follows more than anything.
No, but Tails like powers. He like spins around and flies.
Oh, he can fly. His tail like spins.
Yeah,
that's true.
Sonic is a little bit faster moving. I feel like
Sonic's
maybe Knuckles just
faster.
has more like power or something.
He like can climb walls. I'm pretty sure. He can like climb some walls.
Knuckles?
Yeah, he can like
climb
come and
walls?
like punch through walls. And Sonic's just fast. Like he has to go fast.
Yeah, Sonic's got to go fast. Tails fucking flies. Knuckles busts shit up and climbs it.
Fun game for anyone out there. Just Google your name, then the hedgehog. For like example, like Kyle the hedgehog, Dan the hedgehog. Some good results are out there.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, it's a great game to do. You'll see a really good page of DeviantArt fan art. You'll find for sure. Maybe even some 4chan furry fandom kind of thing. A lot of good stuff.
All right, this is a dark hole. I'm going to recommend any children or any people under the age of 16 don't do this.
This episode's already listed explicit, so we're fine.
Okay, perfect.
And any kids listening out there, yeah, you do it at your own risk. I'll put it that way.
No comment. I'm going no comment on this one.
Fair. Okay, well, I don't know. Catherine finds her balance. Like, yeah, so essentially she wants to be a gymnast, I guess. And
yeah, or she's just something she's doing at school.
And it gets complicated with her gym meet, and it's the parents' house, or like mom's house, dad's house situation kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where she just...
Who do I involve? What do I do?
Yeah.
She's kind of like acting like the person in between them, both
and
the messenger.
I don't know. Like, I always try to look at this in the way of like Degrassi being progressive, not even like what we talk about the parents kind of thing, like that aside.
Yeah.
It's like them even just tackling a story about divorce, even in this day and age, is kind of impressive.
In 1980s, yeah, I guess.
Like, I mean, it's hard to kind of think about that in 2017, but you know, you try to put it in that perspective, and it's kind of like, okay, that's kind of cool. Like, say I'm like an 8-year-old kid watching this, and my parents are divorced, I might feel better about myself.
Maybe it'll fucking help me out. Yeah.
I might be like, oh shit, Cookie's going through this. That's okay, fair enough. I'm not the only one, you know what I mean? That kind of idea.
Yeah.
And that's, I can get with that. I can get down with that. That's
I can get
nice.
behind that. Yeah, they're trying. Well, I guess Degrassi has always tried to give a positive message with whatever age group of kids they're working with. So this would maybe be some of the issues that kids of this age group might.
And I mean, we were having a conversation last night actually after watching some more Degrassi, and we were talking about how like the situations are really fucking like over the top, and they don't even seem like they're really like helpful for kids.
Yeah.
This might be an example of a better one, I think.
Yeah. I mean, there's always elements that I could see happening.
Yeah.
But the whole picture seems so out to lunch.
It's way out to lunch, and the bunny episode just comes back and haunts me sometimes. That was so boring. But no, this episode, Catherine finds her balance is a little bit more, reigning true to like being a young person, a very young person, and like if you're struggling with something and you see a television show that just happens to cover that, you're gonna feel better about it. Just how it works.
Right.
I mean, we have a lot of shows nowadays that do that too. A lot of animated things like Adventure Time and what's the other show you've liked quite a bit? Gravity Falls. Or Steven Universe. We see that more now for sure. Where they might not shoehorn it in, but they cover like topics that are relevant.
Right,
to the
that's
day and
the
age.
Basic underlying meaning of the show.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And everything else is kind of like wonky and wacky, and whatever they want to do with the show is totally fine.
Yeah.
But it always comes back to that fucking lesson of the day, and I think that brings us, Kyle, to the best part of the show.
I gotta be frank. I gotta be frank with you, Daniel. Like, it's getting harder and harder for me to really like pinpoint the lesson of the day as the show progresses. This one's a bit easier, I suppose. Like,
I'm having a tough time with this one actually. So okay, I'm glad you're going first.
I'll put it this way. Like, we are talking about how they're struggling with her parents, or struggling like how to figure out where my mom and my dad should be since they're separated, or like how to share your parents, I guess you could put it. I don't know. The only lesson of the day kind of scenario I can think of is just, be true to yourself and like respect your family and like don't doubt your family kind of thing.
Okay.
I think I think it's the idea where, a lot of times they'll say like, oh, it's not your fault that like your parents divorced. I feel like in 1984 we weren't quite there yet. Like, it almost seemed like it is Cookie's fault. Do you know what I mean?
Like I could very well have been, maybe. Who knows?
And to Cookie's, merit, she is really just, like, putting her best foot forward, and she's not depressed about it. She's, like, really talking to both sides, and sure, she's sneaking behind their backs, like, indirectly.
But only trying to...
better the situation.
Yeah.
And because of that, I think, lesson of the day, more or less, is just being true to yourself and being true to your family members.
I'm going to agree with you, but I'm going to add a little spin on it and say honesty is the best policy.
I'm with you on that, too. I mean, Cookie, if she was just straight up with her parents, everything would have been kind of like dandy, and maybe they would have had a nice conversation about it.
It might have led to something ugly, like the parents might have had to talk and maybe have a fight about it, but I think everything would have settled out and said, like, hey, you know what, we get where you're coming from, Cooks.
Is it weird that whenever someone lies in a movie or a television show and something goes bad, I just think of Ben Stiller every time?
Because of Meet the Fockers?
Or, like, any movie he's ever been in. Every time he, like, makes a fucking, like... He lies about something or he does something he shouldn't do, and then everything just goes bad for the rest of like an hour and a half. And it bothers me so much.
You're right. You're right. That seems to be a trend of Ben Stiller movies. I feel like he fell into a movie rut, though.
Well, it's like his like thing. Like I feel like that's a Ben Stiller like trope. He's always just like causing a fucking ruckus, and he's awkward about it. He's like, "Oh, I don't really know what." No, well, actually,
you know what? That's true. Even in the movie that he directed himself, the one I like.
Greenberg, that one?
No, the one where he travels the world and...
Schmidt, or no,
no, it's...
Walter...
Yeah, the...
Amazing World of Walter...
Yeah, Walter...
I never saw that. Was it good?
It's good. It's very good.
Okay.
But there's a couple of moments where it's kind of like, if he would have just piped up, the whole movie didn't have to happen.
That's what I mean. And, like, yeah. I don't even, like, mean to take... I don't need to shit on Ben Stiller too much. Like, I think I like the guy overall, but it's like that's always his fucking thing where he's just lying and terrible things happen to him, and it's like...
It's lying or it's like not saying what he's feeling.
Yeah, and yeah. I mean, that's cool to a degree, but if you do it for like 25 fucking films, I'm over it. That's all I gotta say.
It's the Ben Stiller problem.
Anyways, I guess we'll end it there, and we're gonna watch the next episode 12, and we're gonna come back to you guys very soon. We'll be right back.
And we're back, folks, with another episode for you. This one, Kyle, is...
Well, this one, of course, is Benjamin Walks the Dog, released November 23rd, 1984. So not too long after the last one.
This other one was in November also, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah. November 16th. So this one was like a week afterwards. So
right.
We're seeing a little bit of a regular serial, publication, episodic episodes coming out. That's nice.
What was the biggest thing you noticed in this episode, Kyle? Benjamin Walks the Dog.
Benjamin Walks the Dog actually is fairly jam-packed. I'm not going to lie to you. To a degree.
It's lightly jam-packed. It starts with Benjamin finding some new shoes and a stricken poverty joke by saying, "You better get them big so you can grow into them, Benji."
Yeah, and...
so he gets way too big shoes.
It's also a heavily Pete-focused episode. And I fuck with Pete. I'm into Pete.
Pete's trying to just have a little ciggy.
Honestly, I'll put it this way. Pete doesn't care about anything. Honestly, Pete, he'll do what it takes to get what he wants.
And he fucking throws people under the bus, and he does it so cash, and everyone just likes Pete.
And Pete always gets what he wants. And that's respect.
This is true.
And... we have a previous character, Billy, who you might remember was a character who was selling raffle tickets to Pete, actually.
Right, yeah, we brought that up vaguely, and then we also remember Billy, of course, from the last episode as the hockey player, yeah.
Right, so that was fun, I guess. In this episode, we meet his younger brother. Benjamin, who I think says he's 6 years old, is that what he says?
Yeah, he's 6 years old, and Benjamin, it does show up vaguely in another episode, I think, too. Okay. But just as, like, maybe
a very minor
word
character.
Or, he just kind of is around.
Yeah, and this one he's known as, like, the little pesky younger brother in that he wants to be included in what his brother's getting up to, and he wants to help out taking care of this dog that they're sharing and babysitting or dog sitting.
Yeah.
I guess however you put it. What do you call it when you walk a dog? What's that called?
Dog walking.
Dog walking. That makes sense to me.
They're dog walkers. Well, they find an ad at the Sears or the Bay or the Kmart equivalent.
I'm gonna go in and say it was the Hudson's Bay. I'm going Bay on this one.
Hudson's Bay Company. It must be.
I'm going Bay on this one.
So one of the ladies that works at the Hudson's Bay gets a phone call Excuse me, the episode
Was
was
this
so
episode
boring.
putting you to sleep?
There
There was actually some
less.
there were some decent moments this
I
episode.
gotta say though that one of the biggest things I noticed was that it was narrated,
Right, yeah, our boy William, just
aka
kidding,
Billy,
was
narrates the whole thing.
narrating the fucking episode.
He goes, "My little brother isn't so bad walking the dog, but he's just sucky at everything he does."
My best friend is Pete, but he doesn't know what it's like to have little kids around. Like my brother, Benjamin. Yeah, that is weird, but I
kind of get why they did it, but
I wasn't honestly into Billy a whole lot, but I kind of like him a bit more in this episode just because he feels a bit more like. He feels a bit more developed. He feels a bit more like
he's got his
included.
badass side, but he's always just trying to look out for his fam and including his friends. I feel like his badass side only comes out because he wants to do what his friends wants to do,
Right.
and he also wants to do what's best for his fam, and he's got his own personal goals.
But meanwhile,
right?
when you have a friend like Pete who's literally just trying to like scam anyone for what he wants, you gotta be careful.
Oh boy, Billy should have fucking. Honestly, I love Pete, but Pete's not a great friend because
No,
he gets
terrible friend.
Yeah,
Terrible friend.
gets people in his shit, borrows money from them, fucks them over.
Yeah, dude.
Then he
I'll
wins-
never get over that. I'll never. If I ever meet Pete in real life, I'm never giving it a fucking cent. That guy will flip it for 10 cents, and then I won't see that 10 cents.
Man, actually, I think I would give him like $1, and I'd be like, "Yo, Pete, but I need this $1 back, boy. So
Then
you
he'd
better
give
make
you-
sure."
He'd give
And I
you like
bet
a
you
fucking pair of
fucking-
sunglasses instead.
No, I bet you fucking Pete would come back like 20 years later. I'd be on my deathbed by then. Pete would be like, "Yeah, I
How
remember
young
that
are
$1
you
you
dying?
gave
Is
me."
my question.
I have no idea.
20 years later.
But let's
You try
just
to die okay.
let's just assume I'm on my deathbed. Oh, just for the sake of the argument here.
All right, sorry. So you're a kid who dies 20 years later. Okay, rip.
Let's just say I'm buds with Pete. Sort of a Benjamin Button situation. A backwards Benjamin Button. Let's just say I die really fucking early, okay?
I'm actually just going to comment.
I'm friends with Pete. I'm like, "Yo, Pete, listen, boy. I'm going to give you this fucking loon, but I need that back as soon as possible." I bet you that Pete comes back to me on my deathbed. Maybe he's like 72. Maybe I'm 70 and fucking
Right.
I'm dying.
It's
and
years
he's
later
70
at
and
this point.
it's a long time later. He comes back with a solid $1 million and he's like, "Remember that $1 you gave me? Oh yeah, I've been grinding on that for a while now. Got us rich in the meantime. Here's $1 million."
Do you think
That's when Pete would come back. And then Pete would also go like, "Can you put me in your will, boy?"
Yeah, Pete would be like, "I gave you this meal, but can I borrow two?"
Yeah.
Do you think Pete would get into Bitcoin? I think Pete's heavily
Oh
into
man.
Bitcoins.
I bet you Pete in real life now probably into Bitcoin.
That guy's just been fucking.
He probably
he's
is
been
the
mining
inventor
for
of
years.
Bitcoin.
No one knows that guy's identity, by the way.
Exactly, boy.
Did we just
I bet you that's
discover-
Pete.
Did we just figure it out?
Wow.
call
There's no
CNN?
evidence, but they're like,
There's enough. There's this thing's on DVD.
it's true. This thing's on DVD.
If you wanna order it, they give you a number to call actually on the fucking
It's
DVD.
true. They
set.
get some solid recommendations. They go 1 number and 2 discs that you should get. 2
We
seasons.
haven't reached disc 3, but my money's on that it's the same number on 3 discs.
So far, the first 2, same.
Should we get more into what happens in this episode? I guess a little bit.
Yeah, let me break down the plot synopsis. Okay, so basically, there's an A plot and a B plot in this episode. A plot is kind of actually they
The dog,
kind
I
of
think. I think the dog's the A plot.
They kind of intertwine a little bit. So yeah, I think the dog is the A plot. Benjamin discovers and that this is.
The younger brother.
Billy's younger brother discovers an ad at the bay while they're getting new shoes for him. Pete and Billy see it. They decide, I guess, yeah, let's earn a couple bucks. Let's walk this fucking dog. But Benjamin discovers the ad and he wants to walk the dog too. He wants to be a part of it, right? Mind you, he's a little small. He's a lot younger. So they're reluctant, but because they get sidetracked in Pete's necessity to smoke a bogue, to have a dart,
He really wants a fucking ciggy.
Pete wants a fucking dart. Part of me feels like the only reason why Pete is walking this goddamn dog, because Pete's not about daily jobs. He's about that one big payoff, okay?
Trying to get that yearly dividend.
Trying to get that yearly dividend. He works once, he never works again. That's Pete's vibe, which I can respect.
Yeah,
But-
he knows hard work sometimes goes to waste.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna put it that
to
way.
some extent. So Pete is like, Yeah, I know hard work goes to waste. I'm trying to just fucking get that payout, boy. So...
Do you think Pete is Well, holy shit, isn't Pete's dad Chuck's dad?
Yeah, Pete's dad is Chuck's dad.
Fucking makes so much sense now all of a sudden.
Yeah, because Chuck's dad is a huge criminal and always hustling.
Honestly, all the shit we talk about Pete is more so Chuck's dad's fault. Also, Pete's dad's fault. Honestly, I'm blaming it on that for now. The guy's so young. I'm just saying. Sorry to interrupt.
Right. Pete's way younger than fucking Chuck. At least a couple of years, right?
A few, for sure. And like Pete...
Well, if Pete's Lisa's age and Chuck is Ida's age...
Right. Yeah. They're like
then at least
2 year difference.
I'd say roughly 2 years. Yeah, 2 or 3 years maybe.
And like, I'm pretty sure Pete's into gang activity, I think, at this point.
Well, if he ain't now, he will be soon. Fuck.
Like, he doesn't go to the halfway house because he's kind of scared he'll recognize someone.
Right. He's like, I don't want my dad to know my dealer.
Yeah, exactly. Pete's like, yeah, I don't want someone to know me there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want to be patted down when I walk in.
In this fucking state, boy. Well, Pete's a fucking straight up hustler.
And like, he's the kind of guy where you wouldn't expect him to be the hustler. Like, he looks like the kind of guy that probably, I don't know, maybe wears a diaper to school still, but...
He looks like your accountant. When I picture an accountant, I picture Lil Pete.
Lil Pete,
Pete.
But like, this Pete is actually the kind of Pete that probably has a knife in his pocket.
This is like Goodfellas Pete. Like, he's probably Italian mafia. You know what I'm saying?
I totally feel that. I think like Francis Ford Coppola probably would have hired Pete on for like Godfather 4.
Right.
Theoretically.
Or if there was a Jewish Godfather, I think Pete would be that.
It's very possible. That's my comment.
Is that a comment?
I suppose that's my comment. So as Benjamin here is reluctant to really even read the sign that like is displaying the dog to be walked or having a dog walker wanted, because he can't read a sign basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's somehow interested in the sign even though he can't read it, which is kind of weird.
Well, he found it and he wants to be a part of something that made his older brother's friends excited about.
And his older brother reads the sign and essentially says that, hey, if you want to, there's a dog you can walk for $1 an hour.
Yeah, no, it's 50 cents a half an hour.
Right.
Which is a hilarious way of
attempting
measuring
to simplify it because the show decided not to. Why would you say that 50 cents for half an hour? That's so weird.
Boy. It's like you don't say 2 out of 4, you say 1/2.
Okay. So basically the rest of the episode moves at a very slow pace, honestly. It's like they're walking this dog and
eventually we know that Benjamin's going to lose the dog.
And Pete and Billy are just fucking around with this dog.
Well, Pete and Billy are distracted because they got a free ciggy for no reason.
Well, we'll get there. We're almost there. And we do learn that Billy's mother is a smoker.
Oh, she's a toke smoker.
She smokes at home.
And apparently read in Benjamin's face when she's serving mac and cheese for dinner. Which
is kind of funny, but also a little abusive, honestly. Just a wee bit.
Not that anyone knew at the time, but...
Yeah, things were different in 1984, though.
I guess that's when all those anti-smoking in the vehicle with your kids commercials
I feel like 84 was kind of like, hey, come on. A little bit.
Times were changing.
It's hard for me to say, obviously, because I was not even a thought in 1984, so I can't really speak on that.
Wow.
But it seems a little funny, and I think the episode kind of builds upon that, because then we see these two kids, the older kids, of course, Pete and Billy, wanting to smoke. And so what they do is they go and they ask the local grocery store or the convenience store, the Degrassi grocer.
Yeah.
Hey, they have this plan to go like, hey, my mom needs smoke, so I'm here to get him for her.
Yeah, my mom forgot it. Add her on her grocery list.
And as they're about to ask this question, the clerk working says, actually, your mom's already here, and she actually told me the good news that she quit smoking. And they're like,
actually, Pete's the most upset because he's like, yo, fucking mom quit smoking? What a bitch, dude.
Fucking tell me. Everyone in the fucking neighborhood knows by now.
Yeah, he does say that. He's like, everyone fucking knows Pete.
Dude, Pete, actually, though, I'll be honest, like, Pete is really good at delivering negative lines while still sounding positive.
It's true.
Because he's kind of like, everyone in the neighborhood knows.
Everyone in the neighborhood's gonna know.
It's like, dude, chill on that for a second. Nonetheless, they end up actually just walking into a random fucking health clinic, and a guy just happens to have his child being born that day, and to celebrate that, he brings in a box of cigars that he gives to everyone in the fucking hospital.
It's a boy.
Office?
It's a girl. It's twins. And then he hands 2 cigars, one to each of the children, and he hands out cigars to the rest of the people in the building.
The children right in front of him, which is so strange.
It is weird because literally his dick is at their eye level.
Yeah. And they take the cigars and they run outside, and they're as happy as fucking as they could be. They're so excited.
When they spark up them bogeys, dude, Pete has never had a better time in his entire life.
And at this point, they decide to let Benjamin take care of the dog so they can smoke these stogs. And they go to the good old clubhouse, actually, which is nice to see the clubhouse back in action.
It is true, yeah, especially with Ida not in it.
It's not a weird Halloween-centric money laundering front anymore. They just go there to...
money laundering front.
They just go there to smoke some stogies. And it's, honestly, the next scene of this episode is so hilarious. It's just like this... I think they're actually smoking. Eh?
It is, yeah, and it's like real life, they're like actually smoking.
I can't say for certain, but it looks as fucking realistic as it possibly could be. Like, it's...
I don't know how they would have pulled off something like that if they weren't just actually smoking cigarettes.
Unless they had fake cigars, which I guess is possible. But other than that, it's a weird scene to watch nonetheless, because it's just these 2, 10-year-olds smoking a cigar for, maybe 3 minutes straight, and they're laughing at them smoking and laughing while they're choking.
This is so much fun.
It kind of reminds me of how you'd see a stoner scene in a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man, that was
2 people
tight.
smoking a joint for the first time kind of thing. It kind of reminds me of that in a way. That's how the scene's kind of played off.
Yeah, in a lot of ways it is, yeah.
And meanwhile, we have Benjamin with this dog that they're walking, and it's his responsibility to take care of the dog.
Because they said, Benjamin, if we leave the fucking dog with you, boy, will you leave us alone so we can spark some ciggies.
But he also says, if you let him go, I'll murder you.
That was a thing you said back in the 80s. I remember saying that as a kid, too.
I'll
murder you.
It just seems a little harsh, but
well, I think murder was a harsh word back then, and we didn't know words like cunt.
Yeah, so we didn't know that yet, and... more or less, what happens, of course, is Benjamin, even though he is supposed to be walking the dog, he lets the dog go to some motorcycles. And the dog disappears, and after these kids are sick of smoking, they think it's disgusting, they think they're going to get cancer from the one fucking stove they had. They put up a sign in their clubhouse saying, no smoking here.
Yeah, they're over smoking.
And then they decide to go out and see what Benjamin's up to. When they can't find him, they try to look for the dog. They can't find the dog. They look around. Eventually, they do come across the dog.
And then they finish.
And then later on, even after some more hard searching, they come around and find Benjamin in a park or something. I don't know. Kind of dazed out around that part of the episode. Where do they find him?
I think it ends, actually.
They do find the kid, though. They find Benjamin.
Yeah, they find Benjamin. Oh, yeah, that's right. He's sitting in some kind of monkey tree thing or some kind of...
The good old monkey tree hiding spot.
Like a wooden playground of some kind. I don't know. Like a little jungle gym kind of thing.
I couldn't tell you.
It kind of looked like a power plant for some reason.
This episode really caught my interest for about 7 minutes. And then the rest of it was just a classic Kids of Degrassi Street, blur of nonsense. But anything with Pete in it keeps my interest. I'll put it that way.
I agree.
I'm about that.
I like Pete. He brings a new dynamic to the group. He's just a little bit different. He's a little quirky.
Pete keeps things fresh every time. Every time we see Pete, he's up to something fucking different.
When Pete comes around, he's always trying to hustle idea. It's always in the name of
He's trying to make a buck. He's trying to do something you shouldn't be doing.
I can appreciate that, dude.
It's kind of hilarious, especially for a kid and for a kid's show. It keeps things fresh. But I think what we're going to do here is we're going to power on through. And we're going to go ahead and watch the 3rd episode of this segment, of this episode of the podcast. And we'll be back to you guys right after this break.
Just the one more, folks. Get ready. And we're back, folks.
Thank you so much for sticking around with us, guys. We just finished watching episode 13, Liz Sits the Schlegels. Schlegels?
The Schlegels? The Schlegels? The Schmeagles? The Schmelgels?
Whatever it may be, this episode came out on November 30th, 1984. So we're getting up there in years. It's nice keeping the 1984 look fresh and strong. Truth be told, guys, we've been sitting on this very episode for a long time, and we just came back to watch this episode, and you could say we're a bit rusty.
A little bit.
And this episode in particular, we actually started watching But it got late and things were getting sleepy. You know, we were starting to break down and crash. So we said, hey, we'll finish this episode another day. 3 weeks later, we ran out of our backlog of episodes, and here we are now. So this is a nice fresh one for you. That's enough of that, though. So moving on to this episode, we get introduced to what I think is a new character, Liz.
I think Liz is new, yeah.
And she immediately is talking to our good longtime friend and still a total biznatch.
An absolute biznatch.
Is it time to bring back biznatch?
Biznatch?
Yeah. Was
I don't know. That's going to be a hard thing to catch on.
Biznatch? Remember Gazoogle? Where you could, like, gangsterify any word? Yeah, Gazoogle.com. You'd, like, put in a word, and it would, like, make things all ghetto, where you'd be like, hanging out with my friends today. Just fucking chilling with my homies right now. It would, like, translate it into something crazy.
No, I don't remember.
I don't think it exists anymore. I think I actually looked it up not too long ago, but if anyone remembers Gazoogle, make sure to smash him with the fucking like button.
Gazoogle.
I guess I could read the small wiki synopsis too. Maybe I'll do that.
Yeah, I think you should. But I gotta say, Ida's looking like a large, in charge, big old bitch.
I think she's probably the oldest one on the show now, is my guess. To be honest, I don't know her exact age at this point, but she looks the oldest.
And she's still a huge bitch.
I feel like I still have this theory where like she was written to be a bitch. And so, like, she had a tough childhood.
Right, like, it actually affected her life.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, people probably saw her on TV, like, oh, cool, she's on TV, but she sucks on TV. So let's not be friends with her in real life.
She's a rude bitch. And then she became a bitch because...
Especially, like, back then where, like, you couldn't, like, go on the internet and, like, see that, like, their Instagram account and found that they're actually a normal person. Right. You would just see her on the street and be like, oh, that chick sucks.
That chick fucking blows. She's in that show.
Yeah, and she sucks.
She's a huge cunt.
Okay, yeah, so in this episode, Liz finds out she has her hands full when she takes on a babysitting job with two very lively kids, and one of whom refuses to have anything to do with her. And that little motherfucker is Martin.
Well, the synopsis is wrong. There's 3 kids.
Well, that's true. There's a small child.
There's a baby.
Called Calvin, I'm pretty sure.
Calvin.
And then there's the girl, the smaller girl
Melanie?
Sure. And then we got fuckface Martin, who I'm not into one single bit.
At first, I was kind of into Martin. I gotta say, the end of the episode, I'm not fucking with Martin.
You see Manchester by the Sea, right?
Yeah.
You know the kid in that, Lucas Hedges, like the young kid, who I fucking hate. He reminds me of a young Lucas Hedges.
Right.
And I'm not into that. I'm not into some like snotty nose, like I'm fucking cool for no reason and I'm just a little bitch thing. I'm not into that one bit.
I feel you.
And it kind of rubbed me a wrong way, and I'm not into it. I hope he doesn't turn up again. And in fact, he was once in an episode already where he bought a fake barf thing, and then he got his weird ass brother or sister to come and like.
That's right. Actually, he was being a little bitch in that episode too.
He's always been a little bitch, as far as I'm concerned. If anything, him and Ida should get together because they have like a nice level of bitch that I think would like.
It's true.
Actually, maybe not balance out. Maybe overreact one another. I'm just straight up not into it. So the episode finds Liz babysitting that family, which are called the Schlegels, I guess. And it's just a basic like story of a kid learning how to babysit, I guess, or learning how to deal with a babysitting family.
It's kind of like a first job thing, like learning how to deal with the kids that you're babysitting.
And Ida's all like, "Oh, I babysat them once, but I'm getting a real job now."
Yeah.
And she's a little bitch about it. In sales, we do find out though that she ends up being like an ice cream bike driver.
Which, if you're Canadian,
if you're Canadian, it's called the Dickie D. Now, in all honesty, I thought this was a straight up like. Saskatchewan thing. I didn't know this was nationwide. I had no idea.
It's pretty dope, though.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, I guess probably in Canada we have ice cream trucks to some extent, but more commonly we would have like a bicycle with like a freezer on it, basically.
Yeah, and you drive around.
And you would drive around like neighborhoods more or less on the bike, and it was called the Dickie D, and they have a little fucking bell, and they go...
Yeah, where would they park their fucking little ice cream? Like,
I don't know. I guess just on just like pull over by the sidewalk, kind of. I guess.
No, but like at the end of the night.
Oh, good question.
Like, where do the Dickie D's go at the end of the night?
I just always thought they maybe like just never stopped.
I always thought that would be a fucking fire job.
Me too. Looking back at it though, definitely a terrible job.
Honestly, I don't know. I think I would do it.
I feel like I would just get hit. You know, I feel like someone would hit the Dickie D truck.
I don't know how Dickie D's on bicycles ever made it to our neighborhood. Like, it's not that far out of the fucking like downtown core.
It's far enough though.
But it's far enough, and like.
Do you think they even went downtown though? That's my question. Was it more of like a residential thing? That's my guess.
Maybe.
I couldn't tell you. I only have ever seen the one in our area.
Yeah.
growing up, and I haven't in years.
No, I think they stopped when we were kids. But I remember when the Dickie D was here, it'd be like, Dad, the Dickie D's going by. I need fucking change. Let's go,
And
go.
he'd say, fuck off, basically,
Yeah.
because it was always like $6 for an ice cream or something stupid
Pops
like that.
would go, yeah, fucking no ice cream.
It would always be straight up no, but then
Peace.
there'd be the one time where I'd be like, okay, let me get this, let me get some change, and you'd be like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
And you'd get like that weird ass, like, what would it be? Like maybe like a SpongeBob face.
Yeah.
Or like a Sonic the Hedgehog face.
I used to go with the, like, what are they?
The Cyclone?
Cyclone's
Yeah,
like red, white, and blue. Yeah.
I fuck with the Cyclone too. That's a dope ass ice cream treat.
Cyclone, and then there used to be another one that was like the same color, but there was different name.
Oh,
It was like
okay.
a rocket ship or something.
Yeah, I might just call it Rocket, I think. I
Yeah.
used to also fuck with the Oreo ice cream sandwich. That was like a big fucking Oreo.
That's fucking fire.
Oreo ice cream in the middle.
Yeah, I'm into
Delicious.
that.
That was good
I'm
shit.
into that. That's one of my faves, actually.
So, like, I guess that's probably Ida's best character trait up until this point is that she was a Dickie D operator.
Well, as far as we know, she is a Dickie D operator. Like, she might be Dickie D'ing in the next episode.
Yeah, we can't clarify that because we haven't got there yet, and we're planning to definitely stop at this point because I'm not ready to watch anymore right now.
Yeah.
But I can get into it, and the rest of the episode is basically just Liz babysitting kids. We talked about this briefly, but damn, have you ever babysit? Like, did you ever like do a babysitting thing when you were a kid?
I really don't think I babysat anyone.
Yeah, I actually went to the length of getting my babysitting certificate.
Holy fuck.
And I went to like a local leisure center. Shout out to Harry Bailey.
Damn.
And they have like a classroom in there, or more like a boardroom, I guess, kind of.
Yeah.
Where they do like, I guess, probably like random
Oh,
shit.
yes. Yeah, I've been in there before.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I remember going there, and it was like a day thing, or maybe even like a 2-day thing. I don't know. And I don't know. You would like. I think I got like my WMIS certification for some reason. And
Right.
Some,
You get like
shit.
some safety.
Yeah, I get some safety things so you can like, I don't know, take care of kids in case shit happens, I suppose. And it was kind of bullshit, but I guess, I don't know, I was like 12 or 13. I was like, hey, well, maybe I can get some cash if I do this kind of thing. And it was like free, I'm pretty sure. So did that, and then I only ever babysat once, and it was kind of fucking weird. Truth be told.
Yeah, it sounds like it was fucking weird.
I'll elaborate a bit more on it. So, a family friend of mine, I guess, was like, hey, Kyle, like, there's this girl I know who has, like, this one kid, he's super chill. Do you want to babysit him for a night? I was like, fuck it, why not? I got nothing going on. I'm in grade 8. I could probably use, like, whatever it was, like, $30 or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Tight. First off, I remember that it was like storming like fucking crazy that night. Like it was crazy. The power was out everywhere, and my dad drives me over there. The power's still out. So me and this kid, I meet the parents. I remember there was just one lady, and she's like, "Hey, I'm going out with my friends. You know, I haven't been out in a long time, but you know, I should be home around like 12, maybe even 1 at the latest. Here's my number. Let me know if anything's up." I'm like, cool, whatever. So we're playing a fucking board game because everything's fucking like out. So we're playing some board game shit. I can't remember what it was. Finally, the power turns on. Then me and him are watching like SpongeBob or some shit. It was like perfect timing kind of because it was like 9 o'clock. We watched a shit for like an hour. He was tired. Went to bed at 10. I was like, perfect. Boys knocked out. Tight.
Get some homework done.
So I'm doing some homework. I think I watched like Saturday Night Live for a minute. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
Then like I look at the clock and it's like fucking like she's like almost approaching 12. So I'm like, oh shit, I'm almost done. Time flew by.
Yeah.
It's like 12:30. I'm like, oh, she said 1. Why not? I'll keep kicking it.
Yeah.
Then like 1 rolls up and I'm like packing my stuff up basically.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I'm peacing out soon. Waiting around. It's like 1:15. I'm like, I'll give her some time. 1:30 rolls around. I'm like, I'll better give her a call. Just give her a little peep.
Yeah.
Call the number. No answer. This reaction, tight. Cool.
Yeah.
Gucci. Actually, maybe not. We just learned recently that Gucci is kind of a weird term that I might not be using anymore.
Oh.
Gooch, you know? Like a male taint.
Yes. Yeah, I see the connection. Do you think Gucci has anything to do with the Gooch, really?
Do you think Gucci Mane realizes that? I'm going to leave it at that for now.
All right.
Anyways, so whatever. I call her, no answer. And then I'm just waiting around. I don't know. I wasn't really freaking out that much, to be honest. The kid was fine. I don't know. Fucking A, I call like every like maybe half an hour. I'm being a little annoying, honestly, but I'm also a little like, what's going on?
You're young and you're trying to go home.
Basically, yeah. So fuck it though, but I didn't know what to do. I want to leave the kid alone, obviously. I think I called my parents and they're like, as long as you're fine, do you want to just like stay over there? Like call us if anything happens. And I was like, okay, whatever. Fuck, dude, I stayed there till like I think like 4:30, maybe 5. in the morning, and I'm like, yeah, I remember like I was just pissed, and this chick rolls in though, and she's like, hey, like I'm so sorry, I had a really rough night, and she has a hospital like wristband on her wrist. And I was just like, oh, what the fuck? She's like, yeah, me and my friends went out to the bar, and my drink got drugged, and I had to get my stomach pumped at the hospital. And I'm just like I'm fucking like I said, like 12, 13, I can't even fully process this.
Yeah.
I was like, the fuck are you talking about right now? So that was some weird shit. And then she was like, yeah, but I got a cab outside waiting for you, and I'll drive you home. I live like a block away. Like, it's so close to our house or our neighborhood or whatever. It's like, whatever. So I fucking I'm home at like 6 in the morning, I remember. The sun's up. I'm just pissed, kind of.
Yeah.
But then I'm also kind of like feeling bad, obviously. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck happened to her tonight. That was some weird shit.
Yeah.
I remember I like went home, I told my dad, I was like, I'm never fucking babysitting again in my entire life.
Yeah.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, was the only time I ever babysat. So there you go, ladies and that's a real life Kyle story.
A real life Kyle story.
Kind of sounds like a Kids on Degrassi Street episode.
It doesn't sound as dark.
It's relatively dark, honestly.
Well, I mean, like, I mean, the Degrassi isn't usually that dark. The Kids on Degrassi Street.
They allude to the darkness, but they don't go.
Yeah, they don't go full dark because in this episode, there's like a point where the uncle comes by to visit, and you can see the shadow of like a scary looking man holding a thing outside the door, and he's like, whoa, 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 who's home? He's being fucking weird.
He's making some weird knocks, and when he does like enter the door, he's like, "Hey kids."
Hey kids. I'm your uncle, your favorite Uncle Grungle.
He is the scariest uncle, honestly.
Yeah.
He has this weird fucking beard that I'm not really into.
He had some fucking bulletproof glass.
And he decided
glasses.
to show up at like what seems like 10 o'clock to give a gift.
Yeah.
Which seems ridiculous to me.
Make sure your mom gets this on Saturday.
Could have come at any other time, but I decided to do it right at this moment.
Yeah.
Weird. What are your general thoughts on this episode? Did you fuck with it?
I don't know if I fuck with this episode. Ida's a cunt. Martin kind of sucks. Liz is somewhere in between.
Yeah,
trying to make shit work.
Liz is your good plain Jane character.
Also, the parents and the family that this, like the Schlegels, I'm not really into the family.
I think we've realized this already that like every like parental figure in the show is fucking terrible.
Yeah, they're very bad.
They're all awful people too.
They're bad people. They're raising terrible children.
Especially Martin. Straight up, Martin's the worst character so far.
Ida's worse.
Yeah, but Ida has pizzazz. Like,
okay, she's got pizzazz.
Ida has pizzazz, and like you know what Ida's about. Martin barely says any words, which pisses me off too.
He does give those little gleamy fucking staring eyes.
He's kind of like the worst side of like the baby talk. Like imagine like baby talk, but like bitchy baby talk.
I hate baby talk.
I know you don't fuck with baby talk. So
I don't fuck with baby talk.
I'm just putting that in perspective, maybe a little bit.
Yeah, especially when like you're with a girl and she's trying to be cute and you go whoop, 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 whoop. Fuck you.
Is
like
that how girls go? They go
whatever
whoop,
baby
whoop,
talk
whoop, whoop.
is, like don't fucking do something.
I'll be honest.
Like
I don't think I've heard baby talk in like a good 5 to 10 years. Probably 10 years.
I've heard it this year a couple of times.
Can we disclose names, or you'd rather not?
I'd rather not.
Fair. Okay.
Yeah.
Just
I'd
checking.
rather not. But baby talk, I'm not into.
Okay, good.
I don't fuck with
Just
baby
to
talk.
clarify, that's good to know. Put that on the list of things that we don't fuck with.
We don't fuck with.
Which I think we're working on. Maybe.
Yeah, like potentially in the future, look forward to some special episodes about shit we maybe do or don't fuck with.
Yeah, I think our latest episode of the podcast that will be coming out sometime soon. You'll hear some fuck withable or not fuck withable thoughts.
That's right.
So there's that. Okay, then maybe we can get into the segment of the episode, which is what it was the lesson of the day.
Oh, I forgot about this part.
Yeah, man, it's a great part of the episode.
This is the best part.
Yeah.
The lesson of the day is don't
Just because every lesson of the day just seemed like don't be a bitch.
It's kind of like don't be a little
fucking
bitch.
prick.
Don't be an asshole. This one's kind of like don't let your ego kind of get in the way.
Oh yeah, or kind of like
something like
respect your elders maybe a bit.
Yeah, that's probably a better one.
Obviously, she's not much older than him, so it's like not an elder.
Exactly.
But like, have respect for those.
She's been around for an extra 3 years.
And he's just like, I don't need a basically the reason Martin is being a little bitch is because he thinks he doesn't need a babysitter.
I don't need a fucking babysitter, bro.
Even you just repeating it makes my blood boil. I hate that fucking kid. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh man, the scene where he's at the library running late. He's like, I'm late for supper. And the guy's like, this will only take a minute. I'll be 2 seconds.
That was relatively hilarious.
Mark your book. And he's like, I'm late for supper.
Have you ever seen Zootopia?
Yeah, I have.
You know that scene with the sloth? Where he's like,
oh yeah,
it's kind of
at the DM What do they call
DMV?
DMV.
Yeah,
There you go.
Yeah, that kind of reminded me of that a little bit. And also, I
Yeah.
love that scene. That's my favorite part of Zootopia.
Fuck.
What did you think about Zootopia?
I don't know. I thought it was very okay.
I kind of fucked with it, to be honest. It was way better than I thought, even after all the hype. Because everyone was like, Zootopia is the fucking best.
Man, when
animated
you
movie.
said that you fucked with it, I think I watched it and expected a lot, and then I was just like, I'm not into this.
I mean, I think generally speaking lately, I'm a bit more positive with my views on films. I've noticed that.
I guess that's true, especially after the movie we watched tonight, which
We'll
you'll
get
find
to
out about,
that's on
folks.
another episode. But maybe not even like positivity. I was telling a friend about this today. Like, I'm not more like positive about it. I'm just more so I can see movies where they fit in place with the general film ecosystem.
Where they
if that makes
fit in
any
the market,
sense.
kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think about that a little too much to the point where like I'm rationalizing the shit I'm viewing.
Right.
For better or for worse.
Well, I think that's part of the reviewing process, right? Like, that's
Yeah.
got to be part of the thought process. Otherwise, it's not necessarily a fair review.
Like,
to any
in all
degree.
honesty, this show we're watching right now is like strictly terrible, but we do our best to put it in perspective, right?
Yeah, we do. We try to picture what it was like to be fucking, 12 to 14 in, or 8 to 14
Yeah, I would say,
in Toronto, Degrassi Street in 1984.
Yeah, you kind of have to do that, I guess, right?
Yeah, otherwise you're asking for a bad time.
You're barking up the wrong tree.
That you are, bucko.
I guess we can also celebrate the fact that we're halfway done the series now. Episode 13 marks the halfway point.
This is a breaking point, so Kyle, why don't we crack a new beer to that?
All right, I might even do one of these.
Oh, wow, ripping a cloud. Wow. I haven't vaped in a little while.
She's a bit milky
pretty
over here.
A little milky.
Well, cheers, man. Halfway done this
cheers.
bullshit.
Halfway done?
Anyways, guys, I think maybe we'll end the episode there.
I think so.
You guys can find us on the internet pretty much anywhere you search up Your Ass is Degrassi or The Second Viewing. You can find us, of course, on SoundCloud if it still exists, YouTube at The Second Viewing on both YouTube and SoundCloud, and follow us on any other like pod aggregator things, all those pod things.
Anywhere you can listen to a podcast.
But I guess more notably iTunes and Google Play Music.
Yeah.
Two most popular ones, I'd argue. I don't really know.
Yeah.
Give or take.
I think so.
And then also, social media. We're there as well. We got Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that shit. That's The Second Viewing. And you can also see our thoughts, on films at letterboxd.com/TSV. Anything I'm missing, Dan?
I think we've covered it all.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, guys, for sticking with us this week for another episode of Your Ass is Degrassi. We'll be back this Friday with another episode, so stay tuned. Catch you later.